All right, guys, before we dive in and establish these data systems for your business, I just wanted to share two stories from my business world to express to you the power of data. And the first example comes from my real estate world. And I don't think I've shared anything around real estate with you yet. And I know that real estate is a big passion, a big wish for a lot of business owners, and it may be for you too. So this may help you determine whether or not real estate is correct for you. Now, when it first came to real estate, I remember back early in my business life where people would tell me a lot about real estate that sounded super attractive to me. Talked about multiple forms of income, talked about passive income, talked about retiring off of real estate, talked about quitting their job and doing real estate, talked about automating the real estate process where they don't have to work in it anymore. All of these things sounded super, super attractive to me. And after hearing it enough, I decided to pay 5 or 10 grand, a lot of money for me at the time, to take a course to learn about real estate. I remember going through this real estate course, and honestly, it was just extremely subpar, very non-educational, but extremely motivational. And basically, in a nutshell, they were telling me, you got this, real estate's the bomb. There are multiple ways to earn money in real estate. You can do something called wholesaling. You can do buy and hold. You can do flipping. You can rent it out. You can do so many different things with real estate. And then there's also commercial real estate, and there's development, and then there's land, and there's liens. There's all these different things. They basically introduced me to how to make money in real estate, the different channels, but they didn't really teach me what I needed to do or how to run the numbers or what was considered a good deal. But they got me super motivated. And they basically at the end were like, okay, here are all the ways that you can make money in real estate. Just go make it happen. Just pick an avenue, go pull out a credit card, get in some debt, buy a house. And I didn't do the debt part. That part kind of raised some red flags for me personally. But I remember going out and looking at houses that were on the market, scheduling appointments to go look through the house with the agents, or if it was for sale by owner, the homeowner, and looking through it and finding some houses that I thought were just beautiful. I was like, wow, this is amazing. This seems like a really good location. Wow, this seems like it would rent really well. And I remember turning to the agent and asking how much the price was, and them telling me the price. And for the first time, just reeling in my head, being like, wow, I don't know whether that's a good deal. Like, I don't know whether I should buy the house based on the price point. But the negotiations part of me was like, well, it's going to be a good deal if I can negotiate it down, right? So I remember talking to the agent, and this is multiple times. This isn't just one case. And negotiating that price down 10, 15, 20, 30% sometimes. And then still wondering, is this still a good deal? And I just didn't know, And so my response multiple times was, okay, let me go crunch some numbers and get back to you if I want to make an offer, And I remember leaving, and I never, ever called these agents or homeowners back. I just didn't know what my KPI was. And I didn't know how to pull the data to know whether or not it was a good deal for me. So I remember sitting down and just establishing some KPIs. Now, I have some different goals with flips, for example, than I do with buy and hold. But I'm just going to walk you through my buy and hold strategy. With buy and hold, I want to make money in 3 different ways, and I want to build momentum in my buy and hold strategy, because I don't want to use my money just to buy one house and be leveraged and not be able to go buy another house. I want to be able to buy a house and then use that asset to help me go purchase another house and build on that. So here's what it looks like for me. First thing, when I'm looking to buy a house, I want it to rent for at least 1% every month of the purchase price. So if I go buy a $100,000 house, I want it to rent for at least $1,000 a month. Now, I've tweaked that since. All of my real estate right now rents for more than the 1% rule. Now, I want it to profit at least 1% per month, because I have property management fees, I have utilities, I have insurance. And if I don't calculate that in, the 1% rule can get me in trouble sometimes, especially with like HOA fees and stuff like that. So my profit percentage, I want to be at least 1% of my total purchase price, not what the value of the house, but what I actually buy it for. So that's rule number one. The second thing is I want to buy a house that is, I'm buying it for less than it's actually worth. I want to buy it for at most 85% of what it's actually worth after repair value. So if I were to go buy $1 million house, the most, and that's what the market says it's worth, I would go first and see, okay, this needs $100,000 in repairs. I would then take 85% of $1 million, 850,000 minus $100,000, and $750,000 would be my highest offer. I'm not going to buy a house for more than that because that will kill my momentum. And what I want to do with that is, I haven't actually done this yet, but this is why I do it, is because if I don't have enough cash to go buy another house, I want to be able to then take that house to a bank and say, hey bank, I want to finance this house, which is investment property. They'll finance 85% of the value of the house and they'll give it to me. Now let's say I go buy $1 million house for $850,000. 6 months later, I can take that to a bank and they'll give me $850,000 that I can go buy another house with. And if I'm meeting my 1% rule, I am making money and I got that house for no cash out of pocket. I'm providing the cash. 6 months later, I'm getting it back and I'm making money on that asset. Pretty cool little strategy. So that's my second thing, is I want to build momentum. So that's my second rule. The third rule is it has to be in an appreciable market, meaning it can't be like super slummy. It can't be in a market that is starting to turn into a ghost town. Now, I know most areas real estate is going up, but there's some areas in the US where real estate is stagnant or it's actually going down. I just want to be in those up markets, not counting crazy bubble pops, stuff like that, which is why the buy and hold strategy, why I have the 1% rule, because that will help me make money even during a crash. So those are my rules. Now, how do I pull the data so that I can go in, meet with an agent, meet with a homeowner, and right then, them telling me what the price is, I know what I'm willing to pay. I know what it's worth, and I know whether I can make an offer and get that deal done. And the funny thing is with real estate, and the reason I use this as my example, is it's super simple. I can go onto Zillow and figure out what it's worth. I can get the home appraised and figure out what it's worth. I can call a bank and they'll do an appraisal, or at least like a home value estimate, and tell me what they think the house is worth and what they'll loan on. I can call a property management company. I can go online and figure out what rents are for the area. I can establish what that rent is, and I can look at the history on Zillow or some other software and see whether the value of that property is going up at least 5% every year, or whether it's stagnant or whether it's going down. And it's super, super, super easy for me to pull the data. But without that data, then I get into a situation where I'm in a home and I don't know whether it's a good deal. I don't know whether I should buy that house or not. And it's the same in business. If you don't have the methods to pull the data, then you don't know whether your employee is actually doing their job correctly, whether they're actually worth the money that you're putting in. You're dealing off of the gut, and that will lead to decisions that I almost fell into with real estate. I've almost purchased homes just off of gut without using data and following my rules. I just said, I feel like that's a good deal. I would be 50-50, right? And a lot of people really fail at real estate because they make emotional purchase decisions with real estate rather than using the data to help them make objective decisions. So hopefully that story is helpful. Even if it's not helpful in expressing the power of data, hopefully it gives you some metrics if you decide to go do real estate that